Good morning, everyone. Hope the lighting's not too bad. I had to mess with the curtains for so long to try and get it good. Alrighty, so Self-Love Sunday again. And I thought, well, first things first. The first thing is, I am just not good enough at coming up with things specifically to do for Self-Love Sunday, so it's probably going to be more like every other week or every 2 weeks that I do it on Sunday, just because I don't have necessarily that much content for this specific section. Just throwing that out there. Second thing is, sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do to make yourself feel better. And that's a lot of the things on the list, actually. You know, sometimes you actually do have to, eat a vegetable or something that's not necessarily what you want to do in order to make yourself feel better. And working on a project that you've been putting off for a really long time is definitely one of those things. So that when you're upset and angry in the future and you say, I've done nothing with my life, there's nothing I've accomplished, why didn't I accomplish more, I'm a failure, etc., then you'll go back and you'll say, actually, I did do this one thing that I'm really proud of. Or, I did manage to accomplish that thing that's been sitting on the shelf for a really long time, just because I said, you know what, I'm not doing anything else. I might as well do this thing that I needed to do anyway. I'm not saying, be crazy and do a bunch of grading papers on your Sunday, you know what I mean? Like, if it's for your work, then screw it. But if it's something personal for you that you've been wanting to do that would make you feel better later on about being more accomplished, you should go for it, because it's going to make you feel better that you've done something rather than saying, I've done nothing. All I did was lay around all day. I feel great physically, but did I do anything useful? And then you'll beat yourself up more. So, on that note, I have been working on my books. I actually got to the finished and editing stage of one that I had written in 2015 that was completely done, and it was in notebooks, and I had to just copyright it into the computer. And I got that finished yesterday. It was a pain in the ass because my word processing software is not working properly, so it thinks everything is misspelled, and the spell checker is just not working. So that book is just in the back for now. But the witchy book that I've been working on, I did print out a little reading for you guys. It's only a couple of pages, and my printer wasn't working either, so it's in purple ink. Purple ink. But that's okay. This is like the most witchy of the scenes that I've written so far, and I've only written about 100 pages. So, I'm gonna get right into it. Basically, this is in the middle of chapter 1. And the only thing that happened before this was some backstory on one of the characters that I don't think is going to be mentioned in here at all. But this girl is like my main character. So, this kind of starts out, her house, and then introduces the big bad, but I'm going to cut off right before there, which is probably going to be really frustrating for you, but it'll be great. It'll be great. That just means you have to buy it when it comes out. Alrighty. The rainstorm had people enjoying the fall weather for the first time in several months, but none of the townspeople were expecting a disaster. The rain had been steadily pouring all day since the football game, and by midnight the thunder had joined in. Winds reaching dangerous speeds were whipping all over the town of Dawson, Virginia. Grocery carts were being pulled out of the hands of shoppers, and children carrying umbrellas were pushed into bushes when the winds came through the neighborhoods. Those poor children. But no one knew what the night was still to bring. "Oh, be quiet!" Celia yelled at the storm through her living room window. "You're scaring May." May was the name of her tabby cat, and indeed the little furball had been curled under the couch mewling since the storm had started. Celia turned back to her spell writing. She had the entire kitchen table strewn with tea-stained paper and inkwells holding different pigments of ink. She was wearing only a spaghetti-strapped top and a pair of very low-cut shorts, revealing a tattoo of her cat May on her upper thigh. Her white hair was pinned out of her face so she could work. The window was open, letting the wind come through the kitchen, but every time the thunder crackled overhead, May would howl some more. The television was on, playing some western show that neither witch nor cat was interested in. It was merely there for background noise. Would you like me to close the window? Celia asked her cat. Will that make you shut up? The cat meowed once, and she took that to mean yes. Celia stood up and reached to pull the window shut against the gusts of wind. The shirt came up even further, showing a pale stretch of skin. Oh, cover yourself, Avery said, coming into the living room wearing socks and peppermint-striped pajamas. You're practically advertising yourself. Celia giggled. Can you look over my chaos sigils? She asked. I learned them from looking through Rain's notebooks. You what? Avery sounded appalled. Celia, I know you haven't been doing this long, but you cannot go through someone else's things, especially without permission. She is a death witch. She has no problem doing curses. I don't know what makes you think she should be your role model. I just like the dark things, Celia replied, adjusting the curtains. Rain is amazing, and I want to be like her. She bounded across the room barefooted and opened a drawer under her desk. See? She pulled out a bag and shook the contents onto the floor, dropping down beside it. Lipstick, black. Eyeshadow, black. Raven wings, earrings, and a bottle of teeth for curses. Avery looked incredulous. Celia, my gosh, you're going to get hurt, I swear. She went into the kitchen and rummaged through the cereal on the fridge. Rain finds out about that, she's going to kill you. Her room is so cool, Celia said, rocking back and forth on the floor, stars in her eyes. There are so many awesome things. She has a rag soaked in blood from one of the wars, blood magic and death magic. She has a piece of glass with a rat skull inside it, and... Yes, I've been to Rain's house before, Avery said dryly. Why can't you focus on your magic, charms, or whatnot? That is my magic, Celia whined. That's all I know. Avery shook some cereal into a bowl and sighed. Meg carefully came out from under the couch looking skeptical and climbed onto Celia's lap. Hello, my good kitty, Celia purred, cuddling her cat. Avery looked at her from the kitchen, one eyebrow raised. What? I love my kitty. Here, you hold her. She extended the white cat towards her friend. No, thank you, Avery said. I would rather cuddle with a Venus flytrap. She flopped on the couch with her cereal. I'm going to go on a little walk, Celia said, dropping the cat back under the carpet. I won't be gone long. I'm going to collect a little rainwater. Suit yourself, Avery said. I've got a date with Chuck Norris. She settled under the couch and covered her legs with a blanket. Celia let herself out the front door and into the downpour. The sky looked strange, purple and grayish with bulging clouds. There seemed to be a strange whirl shape above their town, and she squinted up at it, trying to see without getting rain in her eyes. She opened her phone to check her messages. As usual, nothing there. Feeling a little saddened, she set off into the rain, holding her hands close to her body under the coat she wore. The rain was ferocious, and the wind whipped her cheeks chapped within moments of being exposed. She walked steadily, holding an empty water bottle in her pocket, trying to find an open spot to collect the water, preferably from a storm drain of some kind. She didn't really want to be spotted by the neighbors stealing water from their storm pipe, but it had happened before. They should know she was peculiar by this time. Celia and her best friend Avery had moved to Dawson when they graduated high school. They had lived in the little house ever since. It had been nearly 4 years, and they had no reason to leave their comfortable life. Both of them were solitary practitioners, and neither really had a social life outside of their friendship. They were lonely sometimes, but they didn't really go looking for anything else, either. Avery had just gone through 3 or 4 boyfriends since they had moved in together, but each was just as lousy as the one before. Celia wanted better for her friend, but she didn't know if the countless jocks were right for her. Celia was one of those girls who tried to take all the world's problems on her shoulders. She was a coping mechanism to disguise how lonely and sad it was a coping mechanism to disguise how lonely and sad she always was. She listened to sad music and wrote sad songs. She sang the songs to her cat in a sad sort of way. Outside her house, she appeared to be a quirky little witch with short hair and shorter skirts, but she was desperately trying to cope. Rain, their mutual friend, was a hardcore goth and death witch. She regularly went to cemeteries to sleep and was more often in conversations with the dead than with the living. She hated the world and often breezed about in a gloom. Celia couldn't imagine anything better than that. She admired Rain's disconnection to the world. She wished she could replicate it, but she was too rooted in helping people and worrying about what they thought of her. Plus that, Rain didn't exactly have a welcoming personality. A sullen glare was her most cheery good morning. Celia gathered her rainwater and was just crossing the street again when there was a tremendous crack of thunder and the skies opened up, revealing a sickly green light. Of course, Celia stopped and stared in disbelief. "Help! Help me!" she heard someone crying, and she saw a boy running towards her, scrambling across the wet street, a flashlight clutched in his hand. "Come here," Celia said urgently, one eye to the sky. "What's the matter, hon?" "He's after me," the boy panted. "Please help me, please." "Come here," Celia coaxed. "Let's go sit down." "No, miss, listen to me." The boy was almost hysterical. "He's coming. Don't you understand? He's coming." The end. So, so that was a little bit of introducing Celia and Avery, and I hadn't really decided if I was going to keep Avery in it because she was supposed to be like a green witch, like a hedge witch, and her whole house was full of plants and stuff, but she was very mean. Like, in the way that they're friends, Celia and Avery are friends. But every time Celia tries to, like, talk to a boy or something, then Avery's like, no, don't talk to him. I don't like him. And she's just, like, very dismissive and very caught up in herself. And Celia is just, like, wide-eyed and innocent, getting into magic for the first time, and she thinks the Death Witch is the greatest thing in the world, and so, yeah. And they live together, and they have a cat. And I kind of imagine the cat as that cat from the one Disney movie with the little bow, you know. I can't remember where that came from. Anyway, and I always put cats in my books. I like cats. I need a cat. I don't have a cat. Anyway, so that was a little bit of reading, and reading it out loud just now, I realized it sounds a lot better than I thought it did. So you know what? I may keep doing this and reading little segments, and then by the end of it, you'll have heard most of the book. But it keeps me going, so I'll try and keep the most juicy parts out of it, just so there's something to look forward to. Alrighty, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed it more than I thought I would. So I will be back with some more segments, hopefully. I need to buy ink for the printer, so after that, there will be more segments. Alrighty, everybody have a wonderful day. Mwah, blessed be.